So today we are going to be doing a little smart talking lights radio. There's a couple modifications I want to do to this. Also, I want to sort of repair it because it does have this weird tendency to kind of glitch out. So I'm thinking, you see right now it's still in the music mode and it's not working at all. So I think what this is one of the rotary switches that like sit down. I don't think it's making the correct contact on that. So I think we need to pull that apart and then kind of fix that. So with that, first thing we're always going to be doing is opening it up. So let's go ahead and do that. Now I do have the backing to this, but I wanted to make sure prior to getting on video that this was a functional instrument. So that's why the backing's off of it. All right, I think that's all of them. Okay, so this is really nice circuitry right here. This is older style circuitry, so it's exactly what we want. It looks like this is an integrated circuit through here. I'm guessing that somewhere along these lines is where we are going to get our tempo tone control. We might also get looping glitches just because it is older technology. That would be exciting. But first though, let's go ahead and repair this point so where we're not having that weird contact. And then how I'm going to do this is I'm going to go ahead and pull this out. So unfortunately this is not the type of switch I was thinking it was, but I don't think I have a replacement for that. We can at least touch up the soldering though. That might help it a tiny bit. We're going to go with that. I don't know if it's going to help at all, but well, it did. So good. We'll probably touch up this side too. but I mean, it's better on the side. It's not doing it anymore. So that's great. At least we sort of fixed it. We at least restored some functionality to it, and that's goal achieved. So now we're to the funner part. We're going to be circuit bending it. And I am going to turn the volume down on this just a tiny bit. So it sounded like the tone was already changing on something I was hitting. Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and take this out just so I can have a little bit more room to mess around with the circuit board. Alright, so there's our integrated circuit. Very beautifully laid out right there. And I'm guessing this is our guy right here that's changing the tone. That's exactly it. So let's go ahead and tag onto that. I'm going to shut it off for a second, and then we're just going to go ahead and tag directly onto the resistor right here. I may want to go ahead and lay my wires first before soldering. And I'm using all scrap wire. Looks scrap wire, meaning I pulled it out of other stuff. All right, well that's in, so let's go and place it. All right. Okay, so both of those are set. Now so I can't touch them together without it crashing. I can get very close. So we will need some type of resistor on it. And for that, we'll just throw one on there, see if it helps. So it's a little too high. Alright, so I'm going to need more than that. So that's a 150K, so I'm going to go slightly above that. It doesn't help that I don't have my resistors labeled. Let's try this though. And just for the heck of it, let's try them in series. Because both of them are crashing, which means they are too low resistant. I almost felt like I was going to keep going after I released it. So what I'm trying to do here is, you heard that very high pitch thing that happened when I touched this together. There's a very, very thin line where sometimes you can actually get an instrument and then it's almost overwhelming the instrument's circuit board, and then it causes it to go in a frenzy. And the frenzy is very interesting because it's almost like a Ghost in the Machine type play. It's very strange, and I'm seeing if this has that. It's right on the borderline between a crash and the board being stable. It's very strange, but very cool when it happens. And that's it. There you go. So this is the board. I'm not sure is on the borderline between a crash and the board being stable. So right now, I'm not sure what's happened, but the instrument is almost processing sound, but it's not processing sound normally. So you get these really weird, eerie side effects off of it. And if I wanted to change this, I could simply overwhelm the board again. Hopefully it does something different. Might not, we'll see. Okay. So it almost seems like it just beeps. Sometimes you will get these random tone variations, almost like it's playing its own little orchestra, but it doesn't seem like this one does that too much. I'm kind of hopeful though. Because it keeps doing those tones, I feel like it could possibly do it on different tones. See, it does this weird thing where when I touch it together, it drops tones and then raises them back up, almost like it's trying to restore stabilization to the circuit board. This is high risk, but we'll see if it pays off. Alright, I do feel that we should go ahead and put that on as a type of glitch, because I love those type of things. It is a very Ghost in the Machine thing, and sometimes you'll see, since we are circuit bending, we're not doing something that's completely stable, it's not completely static. So what's going to tend to happen is, as this instrument ages, as new circuitry is put in it, and new electrons, electrodes, whatever, are ran through this, the instruments will change. So it could be very plausible in the future you see a Ghost in the Machine video with this playing its own little orchestra. It's not out of the question, because they do tend to change quite a bit. And that's really exciting. So we are going to put this in as a glitch. And it's going to be real easy, because we're just going to tack it right onto our tempo tone control, which we're currently trying to stabilize, but we'll get to that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and shorten this. I'm going to run directly out of this. And I'm going to go ahead and put on tempo tone control on this side as well, because my intention with this is to put the tempo tone control possibly up here. I could put them on the sides, but I don't know. I feel it's too safe. As goofy as that sounds, I don't like side mounted things. I do like things mounted on the front, and I feel like it's a very safe option. So I'm really wanting to take more risk on this one. Now, if it comes down to it, I could put LEDs all over the front, which would actually be pretty cool, and then I could put them in the lettering, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how things play out. Right now I'm setting it up to where all this stuff is going to be top mounted. Alright, and for this glitch out switch, we are just going to be using the button. You are adding them is add these components up and you solder everything together, you are going to have something called internal resistance. Internal resistance is going to change that pattern a little bit, so just expect it to be slightly higher in resistance when you do this. So if you're really borderlining not hitting the point where it crashes out or goes into a frenzy, I would recommend removing a little bit more resistance from that, so where it does frenzy a little bit harder before you add your stuff, which I guess you can go ahead and just add all the components and then redo it after, take the resistance away after. But just check your soldering points. Yeah. All right, that should be set. All right, so that's fun. I'm going to go ahead and add the tempo tone control on it. Okay, now we do need a toggle switch added to this. I should have seen which one actually reacts to the ground, but totally slipped my mind. So let's figure that out now. And can we touch it to the ground? Yep, we're good. All right, so let's add the ground wire on there. Put them right out the battery, but there's no real, I just prefer to do them on the circuit boards anymore. So that's exactly what I do here. I'm going to add it to the circuit board. See, the instrument's very mad right now. The smarter thing to do would be to turn the instrument off, but we're just going to add it. And that's our ground. Okay, we are going to do a switch on this because we do want that variability to be optional. I don't want it to be on there all the time. Because to me, circuit bending is more about adding functionality to the instrument as opposed to taking it away. And I realize a switch doesn't mean that the functionality, or it being non-switched, I guess would be more accurate, doesn't mean that the functionality was taken away, but it does to me mean that the variability is not optional. It's always the variable, but then you just have the option to take it back to a similar place where it's running functionally. And for me, I like to do the switch because that guarantees it's at the exact point. So for me, it just makes more sense to add a switch, and it takes a literal 2 minutes to do. So it's not bad at all. So there you go, there's one side. Is this long enough? I don't think so. Okay, that's added in. Now we're going to put the potentiometer on. The switch variable is going to go in the middle. And it's not going to matter where the other two are too much. It's just going to affect which rotation way puts it at the low. For me, that's not going to matter too much. I don't really care. Feel as long as I have that variability, I'm fine. Now, if you remember, we are going to have to put a resistor on the high end of this. I'm just going to be cutting the wire and adding that resistor in. This gives us a good option to kind of test it out. So right there. All right, I'm going to turn this off. That is a good amount of play, so we're going to need a really high resistor on that. Okay. So you can kind of see it has that variability effect going on now. This is a different crash point, but still very interesting. Let's kind of return to our original and see what happens. So there you go. That seems to be it. But you can kind of hear how there's multiple tones that go on within that. Adds a very creepiness factor to it, and then for some reason, I guess because we're so used to hearing sounds that sound harmonic, and machines don't really have that. So you get these very creepy little tones that are just off-putting in a way. At least for us, they're off-putting. And that's always very interesting to see. I guess more correctly to hear. So that's a lot of fun. But we are going to keep adding resistors and then hopefully get this stabilized. So I'm just going to play around with some 150Ks and then add them to the mix. I may need multiple. I may have to run these in series. But something to do. And I kind of like, I don't know, we'll have to see. But I kind of like this resistor on there as kind of a backup push over the limit type button, because it was getting some cool effects. Let me turn this on. So if it's overwhelmed. So we're right on the threshold. We just need one more resistor. Just a tiny bit more resistance. And we're there. let me try one thing. Since I don't have my resistors labeled, I end up with these crazy contraption of resistors, and that's fine. As long as you use hot glue on the inside and you're making it so where they're not coming apart, like, you should be good. But yeah, I realize that these are kind of insane. I mean, I have 3 resistors in series and then one of those resistors running in parallel with the other one. But it works. It should be good. I'm going to try to run one more in parallel to the other one and just see if we can handle a little bit less resistance. Looks like the answer to that question might be no. And it is no. So that is the absolute maximum, unless we're counting ohms. That's it. We've hit our cap there. It's as high pitch as we're going to get it until we crash it. Now I did want to do something kind of fun with this. I wanted to add some photoresistors to this. Photoresistors are a little weird how they run, just because of how you have to mount them. But we are going to add photoresistors. I think it's kind of fun. And how I'm going to do that is I'm going to base it off of this wire right here, because they should be bypassing and separate from this other system. However, they are going to be switched as well. So what we're going to do is I'm going to get a wire. And I don't know how much length I'm going to need on these. I should probably start mounting this stuff so I can kind of get a feel for where everything's getting mounted. But right out the gate, I'm just going to go ahead and add this wire. And then we'll get stuff mounted. And I do plan on experimenting more with the integrated circuit on this. I didn't look up any other ones on YouTube, so I don't know what's possible with these things or what people have done with them. But it looks to me like we might be able to add a good more amount of stuff. as far as like the integrated circuit, I think we could really mess with that quite a bit. I don't know what the effects are going to be of that. I'm thinking probably loops on this, but we're just going to have to see. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and start adding some stuff so we can kind of get a fixed idea of where everything's going to be situated on this. Everybody who is wearing headphones, this is a drill. It tends to be a good deal louder than most of the other stuff that happens in my videos. So you may take this opportunity to turn it down a bit. I'm going to try to be quiet with it though. All right. So when mounting this, I'm thinking up here. I mean, that's perfect right there, I think. It's going to be right over the VTech logo. I'm going to turn this off for the time being because it seems to be glitching out on everything because the wires are all knocking together. And I don't want it to permanently crash and be done. Alright, so that's our tempo tone control. Okay, so something came loose on this, as you can hear. Wait, no, it's not. It's fine. Alright, so we're good on that. So what I am going to do here, first off, I could tape these up, but I don't know. I might not. What I want to do is I want to consolidate the wires so where they're not everywhere. And I think we can get away with putting this side mounted. That would be pretty cool. Because a glitch out switch isn't something that you're going to use all the time. Well, we do have a lot of room up here on the speaker. We can have normal amount of room. I wouldn't mind adding it to the speaker up the top here. It's going to be a close call. I'm going to go and try it. We may have to actually carve out the back of the instrument by doing so, but I mean, it's worth a shot. It would be a really cool play for it. All right, I think we have this. Nope. Do something odd here and then try to shape out the backing for us. Okay. So I still need to put it out a little bit more. Here we go. It's a little chaotic looking. That's okay. All right, that is super cool. So I'm gonna get this. That's mounted, and you can kind of see the front of it. Got a little messed up. I'm not too worried about it at all. I mean, we're burning into the casing to make something fit, so I'm not concerned. Also, I think what's really cool is our speaker is only like this portion of it. The way VTech made this makes the speaker look massive. So but in reality, we didn't, because the speaker is so small. So I'm not at all concerned about that. What I am going to do is I'm going to take a paint pen and I'm going to go ahead and start marking stuff, just so we don't have to do it later. All right, now it actually looks fun. I didn't think the burn looked bad, but I kind of wanted to add a weird effect to it anyway, so that works out. Okay. Go ahead and add a little bit more through here. Make it so where everything's not just sticking out and going to get pinched as soon as we add stuff to it. I think this is hitting. All right, so something we did caused a hard crash. So let's hot glue some stuff. All right, now we're going to go ahead and add the, I don't remember what these called, photoresistors. So the photoresistors are a bit different how I personally like to mount them. So the way I like to mount mine is I like to have the actual photoresistor itself, which is this portion right here that's going to be sensing light. I like to have it on the outside of the instrument, like this entire deal on the outside of the instrument. I know they use some casings, or there's casings available on Amazon and other places that you can put the photoresistor inside. I'm just not a fan. I don't know. I've used them before, but for me, it's just easier. I'm going to be mounting something on the outside, so I'm just going to go ahead and mount the resistor itself on the outside. I don't have an issue with it. I think it adds a really cool kind of retro-ish look to it, kind of like an old school way. So I'm going to stick with that. But with these, what I like to do is I like to take the photoresistor, if I can find one. Okay. And I'm just going to put it, because we're going to be pushing the legs through the instrument itself. So I'm going to put the photoresistor like right here. And then I'm going to put a paint pen. And I'm just going to mark where the legs are. So as long as I can get the legs through, I get a little bit of a spider bite drill through, I can put the legs in and then solder onto the legs. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. And it works for me. So there you go. You can see that it is a tiny, tiny hole there. Just two right in a row. And then I'm going to take the photoresistors. And then they go on that side. I'm going to put them right through the hole there. And once I get them through, I'm going to push down, and that's going to keep it in there for the time being. Now we are going to end up putting two of these legs together. As far as different photoresistors, these are going together. And then we're going to run a switch in between them. So instead of risking that, I'm going to remeasure it again. Okay. And our switch is going to go on this because we are making the photoresistors switched. And I can shorten this wire a lot because we're just putting the switch right here. I'm trying something kind of cool with this. So with these legs touching, one side is going to need to be mounted to the switch. So I'm going to try to go ahead and add this. See if we can just pull this up there and away. Maybe pull this down. All right, that should work. Hot glue some of this stuff so it doesn't come out. So now our photoresistors are in there. That. So that looks great. I'm really happy with that. So this is going to be kind of a tricky solder, but I'm going to go ahead and try it. We're going to be soldering into this point on the potentiometer and that point on the potentiometer, which is our positive and our negative. So we're going to try it. I think the worst thing that's going to happen is we might end up burning another wire and have to replace it, but we'll see. I'm going to turn it off for the time being. All right, that should have worked. It's like the black wire we. I'm gonna go ahead and hit that with some hot glue and get it a little more fixed where that won't be an issue. And we should have our positive and negative over here. All right. That should be good. These are a little bit harder to test out than most other things you're going to install without having like a flashlight or something of that nature to shine in it. But let's try it out. So they definitely work. What I would like to do at this point, the only thing we really need to add now to make it a normal circuit bent instrument is a pro sound. So we need to make it some type of way to actually connect to an amplifier or a sound system, because overall a lot of circuit bending is just making musical instruments. So I think that's really where the art was born from. So giving this the ability to hook to a sound system is obviously going to be a key for us. However, I would actually really go ahead and explore farther into the instrument and then see what we can do as far as adding more LEDs to it or loops, something of that nature. One thing that I'm thinking of that I think would be really, really cool on this is a while ago I made a Wiggles guitar that was a cover of a Wiggles guitar Iowan Chef made. And then Iowan Chef had this really cool thing where he ran a wire out that had an LED hook to it, and the LED was like a laser pointer type deal that he could actually mess with the optical resistors. And I think that would be really cool on this instrument. It would kind of give it a sort of squid-like look, which would be neat on it. So I'm going to add exactly that. As long as I can find some place that supports an LED, I think that would be a really cool way to do it. So I'm going to start poking around with the LED and then see if I can get any good places that give me a solid LED look as opposed to these kind of popping in and out. I could mount them on the front or on these LEDs that are in the front, but they come in and out, so I don't think that that's going to be a really solid choice. I'm most definitely going to add this. Alright, so for this I'm definitely going to turn off the circuit just so I don't fry anything. Alright, so with this added, we need to make this switch, but also I'm kind of curious if any other LEDs are going to react differently to this. So we're going to sort of play around a bit. Alright, it looks like it's just an overdrive, kind of like our other one. But it is slightly different because it's LED activated. So we're going to add it just like the other one. We are going to add a button on it. Ow. Okay, so that one's added too. What we did was we added the LED directly onto the button. And now it's the same effect. And then the button itself as the only external thing outside of this. Instrument approved. Good. All right, cool. So that is also set up so we have two glitch switches on this. I think our battery came out. Yep. So this is really coming together. We still do need to find the LED to fit in here to actually give us that weird tentacle LED look. But let's try with a larger one now. And then we're going to also try to base it off of one of the existing LEDs, which tends to be right here. So that gives us an on look, but it does dim the sound. So that's potentially one right there. That's much better though. It looks like it's robbing this LED of a little bit of its juice. But it's not enough that we really need to be concerned about though. So we may go with this one. Okay, I like that. Alright, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to go exactly with that. It works really well. And that'll work for what we're doing. Now I will need some type of wire that I can put externally on the outside of this. So give me 1 second. This is going to be a goofy but really fun wire to put on this instrument. This is an old phone cable. I don't know how this got tangled up or how to undo it, but we're going with it. Now we won't need all of this cable. I'm thinking a lot of it's going to get cut, but it's going to be fun anyway. Realize now we probably should have ran this in prior to soldering the wires on. So I'm going to undo that, and then we'll run the wire through. It should make it go a lot smoother and add a lot of stability to it. Okay. I almost feel like we should add a switch on this just in case there are any weird effects that happen with this. So I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to add another switch. Just in case there's any unforeseen things that are happening with this LED, we can always just trigger those off later on in the process. This is going to be a rather complex instrument, though. So far, I'm really happy with it. Okay. All right, and I think with this, I'm going to cut it about right here. I don't see us really needing more than that. This is going to be kind of odd. I almost feel like a razor blade is better for this, but I don't know where one is at currently. So 1 second. Alright, we are getting somewhere. If I could just pull these two wires out, we'll be there. Alright, so now it's stripped, and then later on I'll get some type of shrink wrap to put over the end of this and over the LED to make it a lot more stable. I guess sturdy would be the better word for that. Here's my LED. And there we go. Alright, so this should give us the ability to kind of play with the photoresistors a little bit more. Let me cut the ends off of here. Alright, so that's pretty fun. Okay, so with that, we just have one more thing to do. We are going to be adding the Pro Sound. And then once the Pro Sound's added, we are good to go. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and solder in the wires for the Pro Sound. And I'm going to call it quits on this live stream. We've been on for about 2 hours. So I'm going to call it quits, and I'll finish up the instrument in a vlog. And then I'll do an overview of the entire live stream. So if you guys missed it, then this will be available in a shorter version. I don't know when that's going to be up. It's probably going to be a bit, because I have some other videos I want to release prior to that. But I will get that up. But with our last thing that we're doing, we are going to be adding the Pro Sound. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to track back to exactly where the speaker is. And that's right here. So I just need to get the speaker hot glue off here. Pull that, because we're adding directly to the speaker. And what we can do is we can follow the circuit and get a little bit before the speaker, which it looks like right here. And if you wanted, you can track a little bit more, but it looks like it's a transistor we'd be wiring onto. prior to that transistor. So I'm going to add a little bit of solder to this. And then we're going to follow this out. So the iron's not soldering super well since I did have to reshape plastic with it. It's not really doing too well. So I for sure would not recommend that, but you know, when you're in a tight pinch, it could work. All right, so I went ahead and added both of those, and we're just going to add the wires onto that. I shortcutted the other one just a tiny bit. We have our shortcutted because we're not going to be soldering directly onto the speaker, but at the same time, I'm not avoiding any components or anything, so it's not going to have a radical effect on the sound. All right, and that's added. So here's what we have so far. We added there we go. We must have knocked the battery out or something. There we go. Okay, so we added this, which is kind of reminiscent of the Wiggles guitar that I covered that Iowan Chef originally did. And that's to kind of mess with the photoresistors, but we have photoresistors that are light sensitive and will control the tone and tempo based on the light around the instrument. And then we have our normal tempo tone control. Which doesn't seem to be working. The things around it are working fine. So that's not good. Our tempo tone control is not working now. So we're going to move on and I'll figure that out. But we do have these two really cool switches that just glitch it out. Sometimes just crash it. Sometimes do really cool glitches. So we'll see if we can get something. Then we have this other one. It's kind of interesting. So this one tends to not be as radical as the other one. You can kind of hear it's adding a little bit of treble to the actual sound. But then randomly it was just hitting and causing a lot of chaos. But a lot of fun. So I will be fixing that, and I'll be adding the Pro Sound off camera, or at least until you guys see the vlog. But I'm going to thank you guys for joining today. I'm going to thank you guys for watching. I hope everyone an amazing weekend, and have a good one. Thank you.